All right, I'll call the meeting to order. First order of business is the minutes from last week.
I have a couple things.
Go ahead.
Okay, on line 116. Did we just cross out, asked the board if she could and change it to Karina was given the board's approval to change the town hall hours? That way, it doesn't just say you asked and we didn't get an answer.
Got it.
And then do the same on 131. Karina was given the board's approval to close town office.
Why do you not just leave it, Karina requested and permission was granted? Whatever,
That's pretty much what I said.
yeah, whatever.
And then back up to lines 120, 121. Can we cross out brief tenure filling in as town manager and instead put during her time helping out at town hall prior to Karina's arrival? Just see the. Yeah, no, yeah. So
Got it.
during her time helping out at town hall prior to Karina's arrival. Thank you so much. That was all I had. Nice job. Anyone else?
Yeah, I want to on line 55. Can we just eliminate the word temporary? Because Mr. Bogosian presented a construction easement agreement. Within that agreement, there was a temporary portion and a non-temporary
Okay.
portion.
Oh, gotcha.
And it's the non-temporary portion
Yeah.
that's like the
Yeah,
important
good
part of
catch.
this for
Good
the
call.
Forest Service. So that's all I had.
Jack,
I didn't have any.
I'll make a motion to accept the public meeting minutes of May 9th as amended.
Second,
All those in favor?
Aye, here you go. And I'll make a motion to accept the May 9th non-public meeting minutes as presented.
All those in favor?
Aye. You don't need my scribblings. Thank you.
All right, next on the agenda, we have several abatement requests that have been
Thank you.
returned to us from our assessing company. And we need to either approve them or deny them. I'll read each one and the recommendation from the assessing company. The first one is, you want me to state the address as opposed to tax and map lot number?
Yeah, that'd be better for me.
Because the first one was for 16 Landing Road. Previous assessment was 179.2, the revised assessment is 158.5. Recommended by our assessing company. In their comment is they have adjusted the land value to be more in line with the sales price of $150,000. If there's any questions or if you want to look at this or whatever, you could do that, but otherwise we'll vote on each one individually. So, we good? All right, I'll make that a motion.
A second. Oh,
All those in favor?
aye.
It is the 16th, right?
Mhm.
The next one is for 3 Buck Road, that's up in the Landing. They've made adjustments to the topography and the depreciation on the house to be more in line with market value. They recommend changing the assessment from $1,107,300 to $1,074,100. I'll make that as a motion.
second,
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The next one is for 14 Riverside Cemetery Road. Based on review, I recommend adding functional depreciation as the interior is original. No updates have been made and some outdated features. Recommending changing the assessment from 266,400 to 258,300. I'll make that as a motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
The next one is for 24 Forest Drive, which I believe is in Forest Ridge. Recommend adding a land adjustment for the water runoff issue on the back of the property, which causes seasonal wetness. And that recommendation is to, from a previous assessment of 771,800 to 762,700. I'll make that as a motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, the next one is for 26 Maple Street. Recommend adjusting the functional depreciation in the shed values. The home needs a roof replaced, the floors are worn and peeling up, the windows are outdated and drafty, and the taxpayer is not able to have taken care of at this time. I recommend changing the assessment from 99,600 to 89,100. I'll make that as a motion.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Next one is for 36 Forest Drive. Based on review, recommend adjusting the grade as the kitchen and bathrooms are more of an average construction quality. Also recommend adding a land adjustment for the water runoff issue on the back of the property. Recommend changing the assessment from 797,700 to 707,500.
Wait,
I'll make that as a motion.
707,500.
707,500.
Wait
Yeah,
a minute. That's a lot.
that's 90,000.
Yeah. What was the issues again? Can you?
Yep.
Tell me one more time.
The grade of the kitchen and bathrooms, which are more of an average construction quality, and a land adjustment for the water runoff issue on the back of the property.
Seems like a lot because the water runoff for the back of the property on the last one was only 9,000, I think. The water runoff issue on the back of the property, this one was, yeah, a $9,000 adjustment. So they're adjusting that one by 80,000 because it's got an average kitchen.
Almost 90,000.
Yeah, no, I'm not okay with that one.
All right. We'll ask for further
Okay.
explanation. That's
um,
fine.
As I said to OJ earlier, but I didn't say it to the full board, these are only half tonight, we'll do the next half next week. So we can revisit
Follow
anyone
up
to
for that
follow.
one.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you for that.
All right. The next one is for 76 Loon Brook Road. Is that in Coolidge Falls? Is that Beechwood? Do you know what Loon Brook Road is?
Hang on, I'll
That's,
look it up.
that's the mountain, where the mountain is located.
So it's in Beechwood?
Could be Beachwood, could be Westwood. I think Bloomberg runs both sides of the,
Oh,
I believe.
76 Loon Brook is.
Because Loon Mountain is 60 Bloomberg Road.
Right.
Loon Brook Road? That's
Yeah.
not Mountain Road.
No, Bloomberg Road.
Oh.
Am I correct on Bloomberg Road? Within that much.
Brookway.
Let me read the. They've corrected the sketch based on the floor plan submitted, resulting in less living area. They've also adjusted the depreciation and made an adjustment for topography. Changing the assessment from $664,900 to $579,500.
Say that again.
664,900 to 579,500. Based on a corrected sketch of the floor plan submitted resulting in less living area,
Gotcha.
and adjusted the depreciation and made an adjustment for topography.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye. That is, if you go over the bridge and take a right, go past the Governor's Lodge, it's on the right hand side.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, before you get to the road that goes up to the water treatment plant. Right there.
I believe you. I'm just trying to picture the house. All right, next one is 188 Black Mountain Road. They've made adjustments to the land to account for the drainage issues, changing it from 881,000 to 829,200. I'll make that as a motion.
2,000 for drainage.
I'm familiar with this.
Yeah,
Lot as a-
I'm gonna recuse myself.
Okay, you're in a butter to that.
I am
correct?
about a direct about.
But I'm familiar with that, and that was discussed at a previous,
Planning board.
no,
Oh,
it may have been an abatement from the last time. But needless to say, there is a drainage issue
Okay,
on that lot, so.
all right, so I'll second your motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And Jack is abstaining.
Yep.
The next one is for 186 Black Mountain Road. Made adjustments to the land to account for poor drainage and an improperly installed retaining wall. Changing that from 881,600 to 759,900. And Jack will also recuse himself
And that's,
from
I'm
this.
assuming right next door to the other one.
It
It
is.
is.
So why is there such a difference in the two?
In the two assessments or the amount of the adjustment?
The amount of the adjustment,
I believe one is for poor drainage,
right?
the other is for poor drainage and an improperly installed retaining wall.
Oh, gotcha, okay. So hopefully these people are getting the retaining wall fixed.
Not necessarily, they're just not being assessed as if it was a properly functioning wall.
So 122,000
Correct,
versus 52,000.
correct.
I don't know, an assessor, honestly.
Well, I'll make that as a motion.
And I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I'll recuse myself.
And you're abstaining. And the next one, the last one. Actually, the last two.
Last two,
There's two, but
yes.
they're the same thing. This is an abatement request from Eversource and Consolidated Communication. And this is coming from our utility assessor, not our regular, real estate assessor. And he's recommending that we deny the abatement request. And I believe the wording is pretty much the same, that Eversource has presented no information or appraisal to support their request, and Eversource relies on the Department of Revenue Administration's values for its abatement, which has been found not to be reliable as a valuation of public utility property by the Board of Tax and Land Appeal. As for Consolidated Communications, this abatement should be denied because Consolidated Communications has supplied no support for its allegations in section E and F of the abatement application allegations. Should either company provide new information, or if the company has misinformed the town as to the inventory of property, we will consider those issues when and if they arise. I'll make that as a motion for both,
To deny, I'll
to
second.
deny for both applications.
I'll second.
All right, all those in favor of the denial? Aye. Do we have do you know if we have a copy of the full abatement application?
We do.
We do.
They're in a banker's box in my office.
I'm gonna take a peek at those.
Sure.
Curious too.
I mean, when it talks about sections E and F, and I mean, I know that they're long and complicated, or typically are long and complicated.
But when you're
But if
done
they
looking at
provided-
them, can you just let me know what you
Yeah,
see?
but if they
Okay,
provided
good.
no support, then they might not be as long and complicated as the ones that
Right.
were part of that
Correct.
lawsuit was a big deal. All right, and then we have a copy of the MS 535, which is the final financial report for the period ending December 31st, 2021.
Correct.
I believe this is the same numbers that are already printed in the town
They're the same numbers.
report.
Yep.
They would have
Shawna
seen.
cross-checked them.
Okay.
Essentially, it's just the auditors finding out the facts, the normal
Right.
document for DRA.
I guess I'll make it as a motion. I don't know if we need a motion on this because we've really already approved these numbers.
Yeah, I don't think you need a motion, but I mean, to be
Well,
safe, you
alright.
can do it.
I'll
Yeah,
make the
no
motion,
problem.
we approve the MS 535 for the period ending December 31st, 2021.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Anything else fun and exciting in that green folder?
So this one abatement request for 36 Forest Drive. Just if we can,
Get more clarification.
yeah, and this one was done by Cindy, not
Not,
John.
Not John.
Yeah, the other one was like 9,000, so I'm just curious why it's so much more.
Yeah, it's
Sure.
$90,000
For a kitchen?
for a kitchen.
We're having them
bathrooms.
look into another one anyways, because we thought the numbers were a little bit off.
Right,
So that's fine.
I know that we didn't consider one, let's push that one back, just ask.
Okay.
So,
Actually, I'll just-
the other thing that's in our, are you gonna talk about Granicus?
I can, sure, yeah.
Then let's just go on to the town manager's report.
Sure, last week, we talked about the Granicus contract and that they were amending it to do the quarterly billing. So in the green folder, you'll just see the amended contract to reflect the quarterly billing cycle. We have our first kickoff meeting with Granicus on Wednesday at 12:30. We have provided them the short-term rental information that we have on file. They're also
Fantastic.
looking for our assessing records. So John was gonna put a property owner kind of template spreadsheet together this week. And then our kickoff meeting's on Wednesday. So we'll
Great.
get the ball rolling with that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Is that like a Zoom meeting?
Yes.
Okay, then they're not coming here.
No, they're not coming.
There's no need to.
No.
Do we have one person in the office who's gonna be like the primary not that they have to do all the work, but the
Sure.
primary contact? I don't know if it's gonna be you.
I think it's gonna be, I asked Lisa to sit in on the meeting with me on
Okay.
Wednesday, so because she obviously was the
Most experienced.
most experienced in it. So I think for now, it will be the two of us sitting in and deciding what we need, if anything, what we can provide the information wise, and then we'll go from there.
Excellent. Excellent. I don't know if anyone wants to look at that, but I'll leave it in the green folder.
All right.
Wait, you gave us a report. No, you put it right here. Jack took it.
Jack's still there.
What's yours is mine, what's mine is yours.
We share. All right.
The Emergency Operations Center grant, a couple weeks ago, I informed you that Congresswoman Custer's office was looking for projects. We were notified that we were selected as one of the projects that she has moved forward to the House Appropriations Committee. So now we are just waiting to hear back from them. So that should be a little bit of time, if not until their 2023 budget. So it will probably take a month or two for us to hear back, but we were selected from Congresswoman, so.
Nice.
Very good.
Excellent.
Hey, we'll keep moving forward, right?
Fantastic.
The DOT byways grant, they sent us an email last week asking for additional information. They extended the deadline for all applicants by 1 week. Some of the applications they received were incomplete. Truly ours, they were just looking for some basic questions. The master plan that I sent back, they wanted just to confirm that it was the most recent one. They wanted, I didn't include any term dates for the corridor management plan committee because there are no term dates. So they were very generic, kind of basic questions. So we will submit that again by the end of the week, and that will be rolling as well. So. DOT, we were notified last week as well that DOT will be resurfacing the pavement from mile marker 105.9 in Lincoln to mile marker 111.6 in Franconia, and they'll be doing both southbound and northbound lanes. Deputy Chief Burnham has confirmed that we have yet to be asked for special details, but that might be something that comes down the line. But this is more for just informational purposes, and he did confirm that we had yet to be asked for
But they do, I
details.
saw the sign today, they're doing night work too. so-
Yeah,
Yeah, they said mostly from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. Sunday through Friday is when they're gonna do the bulk of the work. So I didn't think we had any issues with that. I mean, not that we have control over it
Right, right.
anyway, so.
Yes, I have issues too.
But when I was going over to the Mount Washington last week, they're already prepping,
Oh,
they got
yes.
their cones out,
Yeah.
they're moving, so. Like I said, more of an FYI. Last weekend, the green folder was the North Country Council 10-year transportation plan. I looked a little bit more into it. They are soliciting for projects to be included in their 10-year plan. They have certain criteria for what they would consider, an eligible project to put on their plan. One of them was planning study and information related traffic demand management. So I looked at what was currently on their list to try to kind of get a gauge of what they would pick. Because my initial thought was maybe the old hole could go on there. And they do say that you can do bike and pedestrian improvements. So we could maybe throw one in for that because it is kind of a pedestrian path improvement along 112. The only other thing I was thinking of is that when we sat down with DOT back in January, they suggested, and I know this is kind of a touchy subject here in Lincoln, a corridor management plan or corridor traffic study for this area of Lincoln. I didn't know if that's something we want to put in for a project as well. It would be the North Country Council doing it. There's no guarantee that we'd be selected as one of the projects, but I thought I would bring it to the board and see if we had any interest in being involved or throwing our kind of hat in the ring or.
What about an additional river access spot, like up by the moose sign or something,
So-
instead of the old hole itself?
On the current plan, there's 0 projects that are recreational based.
Ugh.
Most of them are management studies, sidewalks, bike paths, things that are actually truly more infrastructure for the transportation. There was no recreational project. So even the old hole, I thought to myself, could be a stretch. The only thing I was thinking is maybe we could get the parking area to be considered a traffic management control or something along those lines. So I don't know. I mean, we could throw it in, and the worst they could tell us is no, right? That this isn't a project that meets all of the criteria we're looking for. Again, I know that traffic in this community is an issue, and I know that it's been an issue for a while. So I didn't know if a corridor, management study would be appropriate. They're also looking for communities that want to collect traffic data collection numbers. I don't know if that could be beneficial for us in the future to say there are X number of cars on a holiday weekend that go over the Kank or, something along those lines.
Years ago, when South Peak, they had to do an EIS study, and part of that, if I remember correctly, was a traffic issue. And they had talked about, and Ron, you may remember this, making like a double lane, no parking on Main Street at a certain hour or certain times. And, I don't know if that's something that, because again, I'm thinking not too long term, we're gonna have a couple hotels more, which are gonna add dump more traffic onto Main Street. So consequently, I don't know if that's something that we would want to have. And to get to your comment about the traffic on a holiday weekend, there was an article one time in Yankee Magazine many years ago that said that on a regular weekend, 3,000 cars come over the K. On Columbus Day weekend, 30,000 cars come over. I mean, I was shocked when I read
Right,
the numbers, shocked. But anyways,
yeah,
So, I mean-
comparing Columbus Day weekend to anything else, though, is like comparing 2020 to any other year.
yeah,
You can't,
you're right,
right,
you
you're
just
right.
can't.
Right.
You're right.
And although I'm not opposed to doing a traffic study or anything like that, we need to tread carefully. The state has been whispered in the past that they would, that they could make this a 4-lane
Mhm.
Main Street with no parking, which I would hate to see happen. Truly. So whatever we do, we just need to be careful to, God forbid we do a traffic study that comes and says, oh, the best thing for this is to, we don't want that. So whatever we do, we need to be careful to not lose our Main Street.
Well, I think. I don't want to say that's the risk you're gonna run, but I think that is the risk you're gonna run. I
Then
mean,
let's not run it.
well, and just because they make a recommendation or they have a suggestion, doesn't mean that the town has the funds or.
It's a
the-
state road. The state has the funds to do whatever the state
Right.
wants on the state road. So
That's true.
the town doesn't really have a whole lot to say. So if we run that risk, let's not run it. No, let's do something different. Or think of another box to look outside of, not this one.
Study Route 3.
Right. Do a Route 3 traffic study.
Yeah, well, and again, this is just North
Yeah.
Country
Just
Council,
not
like
this.
soliciting for projects. We don't
Right,
have to do anything. We can ignore it and put it to
Yeah.
the side. But
Be careful.
we did bring it up last week and
Yeah.
we didn't have a chance to go over it, so I figured I would ignore it.
Yeah, it's a state road and when the traffic backs up onto the interstate on busy weekends, that's when the state jumps in and says, no, we're gonna do something to do it now. So,
They see that on their cameras.
yes, they do. And it's, that's when the PD steps in to keep traffic moving. Again, Columbus Day weekend, 4th of July, there's a few that it really happens at, but that's when we start cringing. Could you imagine a Loudon Road out here? Because that's what it would be. Yeah. So,
Yeah, I would agree that, let's just hold off.
Okay.
Yeah.
Saves me,
Yeah.
saves me some work.
Right,
So,
right.
thank you, though.
I have no.
I appreciate you looking, though. I do appreciate you looking and
Exactly.
continue to do so because
No worries,
it's
yeah.
it's
No,
good to
that's fine,
find
yeah.
stuff like that. It's a benefit to the town. It's great, but be very careful when you're talking traffic on Main Street. We don't want to go there.
Paul's got his hand up.
Paul has his hand up. OJ.
Oh, Paul.
Good evening, OJ. Hey, listening to the comments you're making about the traffic on Main Street and the information that Karina presented, I think the town should jump out in front of this and do a little bit of research into this because we don't want to be behind it. We still have a lot of development that's coming on. There's a lot more traffic coming on. There's South Peak, the new South Peak and all the development they want to do. Loon's doing some stuff. More hotels. DOT is already starting to get nervous about, access on Main Street and every application that comes in has to go to DOT. So, maybe it's time to start looking at some of the stuff. We have a lot of people now using the back road, Pollard Road. So wouldn't it be advantageous to at least see what kind of information's out there and whatever this grant or money could get you for information? Wouldn't that be important to know in the future for, future developments and stuff like that? I look at it like water, I look at it like sewer, but traffic's something that's truly here right now and it is affecting the town of Lincoln. So to just kind of turn our head and all of a sudden when the state comes up one day and says, okay, and I don't think it's a 4-lane, I think they said it was a 3-lane because you can only take out the parking on both sides and make it 3-lane up and down, but
The center lane makes the center lane, the turn lane makes the 4th one. Travel lane, say
maybe.
the center lane and parking,
Anyway.
that's 4.
Anyway, I think it was only 3, but anyway, I think it's worth looking into now. I mean, like Karina said, you don't have to do anything with it. And like Tammy said, the state's gonna have to pay for it anyway, but I think it will give you some valuable information. I mean, if the money's there and someone else is willing to do the study, it certainly doesn't hurt to kind of look into it. Because if you wait till it hits you, then it's too late. Then you don't have anything to do. You know, I mean, as a local, I get frustrated with the traffic. You know, I mean, I certainly get frustrated with it, just like everybody else. But, you know, if we bury our heads in the sand, then we're just, when someone tells us to jump, we're gonna have to jump. And it may be too late then. And if the money's here and you could look at it and be a little proactive at it, I would just think you might want to take a look at it. That's all. Thank you.
Thanks.
Was there talk at one time, and Paul, maybe you were involved in this, was there talk at one time about another entrance off of, before you get into town over to Loon?
Yeah, I mean, there's been many scenarios back and forth. There was one just before you come across the bridge, coming into off I-93 north. There was going to be an exit going up back road. OJ, you must remember that. And then there was one that comes off of the interstate and across by the information center and around all of that. But that kind of got squashed, I think, when Dennis built his hotel and all that, because they were trying to work with people through that. But I think, you know, the state's gonna, as Tammy said, she's right. I mean, the state keeps saying, well, when it backs up on the interstate, they just keep making mandates. We're just gonna do this. And before they just do this, I think, you know, certainly would be a nice thing. Have a little bit of information for planning purposes and everything else that we look at, especially with traffic. There's still, I remember when I worked at Loon, and a lot of people at Loon and the upper management were saying, you can only ski so many people in this valley. There's no more beds that could be built. There's no more. Well, guess what? There's a lot of hotels that have sprung up since then. There's a lot more people that come here to enjoy it. And, you know, we still keep getting more and more. And I just think information is the way to make the thing work, not just not have it. I understand what you're saying, OJ. I just think the more we can be prepared, the better off we are here. I mean, if nothing else, it helps the master plan. For planning for the master plan, so.
Traffic studies.
Red, Ron?
At the applicants having to do traffic studies like the hotels and whatever, when they do their application. I think the Hampton had to do.
I believe the large projects do, like the hospital did. But really, they're concerned with usually a specific
They were attacked on it.
intersection, not a 1 mile stretch, which this would be a corridor study.
Right.
And
And there was one done through the EIS. Jack is right. I mean, if you go back and look at the FEIS final environmental impact statement, they really detail how traffic was supposed to be handled on Main Street. It has never been handled that way since that was passed. But I mean, there's been a lot of traffic studies. Pernon did one, I think, for South Peak. Pernon.
he's had an old stone, hasn't he? For applicants and stuff, because he has the cardinal knowledge.
I've seen several that they've done.
Yeah. I mean, there's been a lot of different ones done too, so to keep it up to date, keep it, if it's not gonna cost the town anything, I don't know that it's bad, because I don't know about any of you, but do you see the state spending a lot of money on their own to do that just to make Main Street different? I don't. It certainly would be nice to have the counts and what's coming through, and
I like data, I like studies, give us some information to make decisions with. However, sometimes you get information and data that leads to a conclusion that you don't want to follow through on. And maybe that, and because the decision is not ours,
Right,
I mean, that's a state road. if we come up with all of this data, give it to the state and they say, oh, we're gonna make changes that the town's not gonna like, kind of screwing
We
ourselves.
cut off our nose to spite our face.
And,
Yeah.
and, you know, there's only so many options and things we can do. You know, could we add a red light somewhere or no left turn somewhere? There's some minor, you know, things like that we could do. But when it comes, you know, down to the point where there's too much traffic, the state is gonna make the decision, and it may be a drastic decision that we don't like. And for them to come back and say, well, you gave us the information, I was like, yeah, that's pretty stupid of us, wasn't it? You know?
Yeah. OJ, you know what? I understand what you're saying, but I mean, if I take, I'm gonna look at like Concord, for example, the main street of Concord, where they did all that traffic calming in there. I mean, there's been a lot of towns that have benefited from traffic calming measures that, you know, that have helped and assisted. I mean, and maybe some different ideas in that regard could help. I don't think the state wants to zoom people back up and down Main Street. I don't think that's because I think it will cause a problem with that anyway. But right now, think about all of the people who are unhappy in Lincoln with what's here now. And there's nothing being done about it. So, I mean, all of you must talk to people, and I'll be willing to bet you that a lot of people say that traffic in Lincoln is terrible on busy weekends, blah, blah, whether it's a ski one or a summer one, or, I mean, you know, and so we just, I think you just we need to start doing something about it, and not doing anything about it is really, I don't think it's beneficial. But thanks for listening to me anyway. I know you're not going to listen. You probably won't do it, but I mean, like I said, it's been a long time problem, and I just don't see it going away. And if this, you know, the state has helped a lot of cities and towns throughout New Hampshire, maybe they can help Lincoln. You know, if it doesn't cost us anything to get some help.
All right.
Yeah,
The proposals aren't due until July, beginning of July.
And
So
the help that the state has offered isn't help. The help that the state has offered is to get people off of the interstate so it doesn't back up on the off ramp, and that is by creating another travel lane, which we don't want to happen on Main Street. They haven't come up. That's been what they, you know, said all along. It hasn't been, or we could do this and let's try that. No, this is how we would do it. So I 4-lane Main Street with no parking is not ideal for Lincoln. It's not.
But they can, Tammy, they can do that anyway.
I was just thinking that maybe we could have a committee of local residents, and we'll make Mr. Bowden the chairman of a traffic study committee recommendations. No, but I mean, you know, I think Paul is right. Traffic is an issue. We all hear it from everybody, whether winter, summer, holiday weekends, whatever the case might be. What can be done? I'm not a traffic expert, don't pretend to be, don't want to be. But I think something has to be done. Again, it's going to get worse before it gets better. Got a potential of what, 360, maybe 900 more units coming on board here in the next 3 or 4 years, potentially, right on Main Street, virtually. And that ain't gonna make the traffic go away. It's only gonna get worse before it gets better. Something's gotta be done. What? I don't know, but you know, look at some options. Back maybe to the original study and use that as a basis. Just kicking it up there. Maybe we have Karina look at it, and you know.
If we're gonna take a look at it, I would say this is an avenue that's, and again, they might say no.
Right.
But we could apply for this and have North Country Council lead this charge and do it. I mean, they've done these traffic management studies and
Like Tammy says, I don't want something shoved down our throats by the state that, you know, we don't want.
We don't have a choice. It's
You
not a
know, it
road.
benefits them, but it doesn't benefit the town of Lincoln.
We're
or the
just gonna-
residents.
if North
Facilitate.
Country study comes back and says, you know, traffic would flow better if you did a, you know, whatever, no left turn here, put in a light there.
If, And if it comes
Well,
back
if they
saying
come back
that
and
the
say you need
benefits
4 lanes of traffic, we're gonna just throw that in a
Jesus
drawer
Christ.
and not.
No, you know how I feel. I think we're opening up a can of worms that we don't want to open up if we do something like that. Can't the North Country Council study water meters instead? Seriously. That would be better. OJ wants water meters. He said so.
Well, and again, this is just to get on their transportation plan, I mean, improvement, I mean, this doesn't mean that anything's gonna come to
we're like
fruition,
10
it just
steps ahead of
means,
us here.
right, yeah, it just means
let's
that
not.
they're willing to put us on their proposed project list over a 10-year time period.
And
Nah.
what I would suggest, Karina, is that you look up the EIS study that was done. And it'll give you some background information about possible solutions that were talked about at that point in time. Because there was mitigation factors that were supposed to be implemented, and I'm sure that never were.
Well, and I do know that the last time we met with DOT, they said, you know, because we did bring up taking away the parking or, you know, doing the highway. And they said that even adding, and again, I don't want to, don't hold me to the fire that I said this, but they said creating another lane doesn't solve the problem because it just creates a bottleneck. It's just going to create more traffic that only goes into.
That they don't care. Their goal is to get them off the highway. The goal on
But I
that
think the
was to
problem
get
at
it off
that
the
time
highway.
was not getting off the highway. The problem at that time was getting over 112 and the backup on 112 over the K, not necessarily the backup that was on the highway exit.
No, the
and
last
on-ramp.
conversations that I was a party
Yeah.
to was getting them off the highway.
Yeah.
You know, if I could, Jose, maybe you could tie this into the traffic on Pollard Road too, because a lot of people are using that. I mean, maybe you could see what the effect is. I don't know if you could do that or not, but you know, I don't think anybody really knows. I certainly don't know, and I don't know if you do or not, but I don't know how many times it's backed up on the interstate. Is it only during Highland Games? Is it only during Memorial Day weekend? Is it only during a certain 4th of July? I don't know that. And I don't know for how long it's backed up. I mean, and I'll give you a good example. This past winter, myself and others were concerned about all the traffic that's backed up from Loon. Brought it to the attention of the board. The board worked with the DOT. They worked with the police. So it definitely helped for people to take a look at that kind of stuff. So using that scenario, you kind of think that, well, maybe there's some people out there that are pretty smart, and because they did make some changes somehow, and the traffic was minimized a little bit, you know. Was it enough? Who knows? But based on the current growth in Lincoln, you know, I mean, I think everybody did a great job sitting down and saying, how do we, you know, take care of this wintertime traffic problem? And that did help. So it certainly doesn't help to put the facts down on the sheet of paper and say, okay, there's 10 days or 3 days, or it's in the winter, it's in the summer, and a third lane won't work because all it's going to do is take all of the parking off Main Street. I mean, I was a big proponent of not taking the parking off of Main Street because of the small businesses that don't have parking lots. So, I mean, we all got to work together, but everyone seemed to pitch in and work together this winter, and it did resolve some, that includes DOT. So, I mean, you know.
All right, we're gonna move on. Thank you for your thoughts.
Thank you.
All right.
I mean,
Never
no,
know.
I mean, absolutely not.
I can go either way. I again, see the value in data. I'm just afraid of where it might lead us. If it leads us to some small changes that extend the usefulness of the current configuration of Main Street, it could be helpful. If it serves the plate up to the state saying you gotta make drastic changes, I regret it. But if we're gonna do it, I'd rather have North Country do it than local citizens or a group in-house, because first of all, if we're gonna do anything meaningful, we're gonna hire a Bernard or
Consultant, yeah.
someone to do a real traffic study. If we're gonna do that, let's have them do it for free or.
Free.
So. Do you want to see if they'll do it?
You know, town manager look into it, see whether she thinks it's feasible.
I'm not familiar with a corridor management study as opposed to, I've seen traffic plans like for South Peak, when they were gonna build the new South Peak Mountain decades ago. I've seen it for specific sites like that.
Yeah.
I've not seen a corridor management study. Are you familiar with those? And
I'm not super familiar with them. I'm not gonna pretend that I am, but in doing the scenic byways, I had to get North
Okay.
Country Councils for the 112 and for the Route 3 and over into the Notch. And it's essentially like a master plan with suggestions and recommendations and wish list items for, a stretch of roadway.
They may, this may be far-fetched, but they may find it beneficial to have 2 lanes going to Loon. That way, one is a staging lane to offload. Once you get off of our main street,
A turning lane.
it'll be 2
essentially.
lanes on the Kank till you get past the entrance of Loon, and then it filters back to 1. That gives a huge staging area for the influx of skiers first thing in the morning. That bottlenecks the interstate. Just not here, but maybe a study would show, a corridor management study would see something like that as feasible without changing our main street. So our main street would keep going, and the people that break away to go to South Peak's one thing, but having a second lane to Loon may give enough staging to keep it from backing up on
To
the
where we
interstate
are.
down here,
and delaying the issue at hand further down the road. I don't know.
If you look at the FEIS, it suggests that. It suggests 2 lanes coming in the morning, 2 lanes going out at night. And it hasn't been done since that's been done. So just for you, if you want to check into that.
Or review
All
that
right.
study.
I'll make a motion that we move forward, or at least apply for the corridor management study for Main Street and Route 112 with the North Country Council.
Second.
All right. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Those
Nay.
opposed? Nay. So let's move forward with that.
Okay. Okay. Moving forward, I imagine this is a request that comes every year, but I don't know for a fact, but we received a letter from Loon Mountain seeking permission to use the Kank Rec parking area, the Mansion Hill Field, Community Center parking lot, Saturday and Sunday only, the industrial park for additional parking during Highland Games weekend, September 16th to the 18th. Loon Mountain and New Hampshire Fishing Game, not New Hampshire Fishing Game, Highland Games will provide porta potties, parking attendants, and or signage and leave areas clean of trash.
I'll make a motion to approve the request.
Just with one, the Mansion Hill Field, I know we have loans stored there, I don't know what else, but
It's the Crush Bank run that's stored there now.
okay, but
Just coordinate with Nate.
just,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
like, yes, they can have it, but we're not moving stuff
Right,
to make way for cars. It's ever there, it's there.
Yeah.
But the rest of it, I'm fine with.
Okay. Right.
I don't think we vote on that. Typically, we've done it every year, like for the last couple of decades.
It's a good sign.
Yeah, I imagine that it was a pretty standard
It is,
request, yeah. Okay, great, I will coordinate that with Nate. While we're on the topic of Nate, before I forget, I did talk to Nate about the fence on Hanson Farm Road.
Mhm.
And he informed me that at the time of the improvements to the roadway, we compensated the property owner for their share of the fence that we didn't install. So essentially, if we turn around and then go and build a fence, we've essentially paid for it twice.
I was not aware of that.
Yeah, I wasn't aware either, but that's what Nate said, that's what he thought would happen, and then he went back in his notes, it confirmed that there was some sort of compensation between the former town manager and the property owner to compensate him for the fence, that it wasn't going to be installed.
Is it still the same property owner?
Yes.
So we can have them pay their fair share?
I think the post is still in the corner
The
of the
post
line.
is still there. All the posts are there. There's some labor involved in digging holes, and then there's the cost of the fence to run between the posts, because I don't believe the fence is
I
there.
can see that there.
Yeah, I don't think it is. I think the way to start with that is just a friendly discussion with the property owner saying, this is what happened. Was that 3 or 4 years ago?
I
That
think it was a little bit longer than that now, right? I think he said 15, 16.
I know it was pre-COVID, so.
What was the amount of compensation?
I don't have that figure, and it was before John's time, so we were gonna have to go upstairs and look in the ball and go through all those motions, but Nate thought it was to the tune of $5,000-6,000. But again, that was just him throwing a number out
Okay.
there, nothing on.
Let's start with just having a conversation with the property owner, saying, this is what was done back then, water under the bridge. This was not supposed to be done because of the planning board decision that requires a fence in that section.
Right.
We need to fix this. Can we do this cooperatively?
Okay,
And
who do you think is the best person to do that
Nate.
bridging? Nate?
I think Nate would be good. I mean, to be honest, you know, I'm in a butter and she's a relative, so that would be.
That's fine. I mean, he knows it's coming down his lane, but I think he was just hoping that someone would volunteer to bridge that conversation.
I mean, I could, but I don't think it's appropriate to do that, so. I'm
And
not
the
going
same
to.
thing I could too. I
Sure.
mean, I'm,
Well, I mean, to be honest, I don't mind either, but I just don't know any of the backstory,
I
so I'll
mean,
have to get
I have no
myself
problem talking
brought
to
up to
him about
date.
anything. Is it appropriate for me to do so?
We'll have Nate do it, it's fine.
Yeah, it'd probably be more appropriate for him to do it.
I just wanted to make you aware of that though, because that was
Yeah.
obviously new information added into the mix.
yes.
Okay.
Well, we're talking about Nate.
Okay.
He talked to us last week about the only paving project on his list for this summer is the Lower Black Mountain Road, which.
But we're waiting for the co-op.
We're waiting,
Right.
right. The other thing that came up is we had talked about the intersection with Railroad Street. That first section is ours,
Okay,
and then it's the Hobo Railroad and
private.
private road,
Right.
the abutters on that. As part of the DOT conditions, they have to widen that section to make 3 lanes so that that lane exiting can have a left turn and a right turn lane.
Correct.
So they're doing that paving and they're paving up in the quick care, urgent
Urgent
care
care. Yes.
center. They're doing something up there. Anyway, the paving company's gonna be here in a couple of weeks.
Okay.
And although the price of asphalt is high,
It's
doing it in combination at the same time, they're widening the road to put in the top 1 inch. You know, it's gonna be a few $1,000s, but I had talked to Nate, just asking him about that project. I'm gonna leave that in his court, but just wanted that I had that conversation just
Correct.
with him and.
Could potentially be an opportunity to, yeah.
Save some money.
Right,
We'll
Get it
see
done.
how much it costs and what we have in capital reserves, I imagine, or something along those lines, right? Where we
Yes,
probably
Pay
have
the
it,
account,
yeah.
yeah.
it'll come out of the paving capital reserve, not the
Okay.
roads and streets, but the paving part of that.
Sure.
Makes sense.
So,
Okay. Is there anything else we have with Nate? Oh, with Nate, what signs, he got the signs on order for ladies'
Ladies.
Saturday.
ladies.
Yes, so hopefully we will have them by Memorial Day, but you know,
Good.
I'm not gonna promise that, but they are in order, so.
Nice.
One Love Brewery, we got a request from One Love Brewery for a special event to use the gazebo on Saturday of Memorial Day weekend for live music from 3 to 6 p.m. I've spoke with Chief Morris, and he does have some concerns with it essentially becoming kind of a block party on the common and with the alcohol.
Aren't they doing music on Thursdays anyway?
They're doing Thursday nights, but this would be a Saturday Memorial Day weekend event.
Oh, yeah.
Has he requested the detail?
No,
Well, why don't, if we're gonna approve it, the chief has concerns, we can make that a condition of approval, that they hire a detail that satisfies the chief of police.
that's what the board's
I mean, is
agreeable
that-
to,
That's,
That seems reasonable. Oh,
for those 3 hours or.
For those 3 hours. I
You know,
mean,
he doesn't want to be the bad guy. We all love having a beer outside on the lawn, listening to music. That's great. But he just has concerns that if it's a beautiful weekend and it's
Doesn't want to get
beautiful
out of it.
weather, that it could quickly turn into something that they can't control.
And
Well,
even
this-
having one cop there isn't gonna make it something that they can't control, if it's something that's going to get out of control. I would defer to our police chief, and if he's got concerns, I have concerns, and I would leave it at that. I would not be in favor of it if our police chief.
Right,
is
and he
not
doesn't
there.
want to like put the kibosh on it, but he wants
Right.
there to be parameters that we all have to, that they.
Did
have to
he
abide by.
suggest those parameters?
Yeah.
When do they need this permit by? Can we ask?
Yeah, I mean, I could touch base with him tomorrow, and if he thinks a police detail would satisfy his concerns, whether it's one officer or two, then I think that's a simple request.
Okay, and then we'll revisit it next week? After we get input from Chad?
Or if chief's concerns are satisfied.
Yeah.
I
Then
would
we're
say,
okay.
say
why
we're
don't- why
okay.
don't- let's make it a motion that will approve it, subject to the chief being satisfied, either via a detail or whatever.
For
No, but then
70
that
inch.
forces Chad to come up
Make
with
the
something.
decision.
right? If Chad says, I've thought about it more and I'm just not comfortable with it at all, we've just forced his hand whether he wants to or not. So.
No, he
I would
doesn't have to.
not-
I mean, he doesn't have to come up. If he says, I'm not satisfied with the detail, then we don't give the permit. The permit is
He
subject
did
to
say that he
satisfying
doesn't
the-
want to, he doesn't think this is the terminal, that we could he doesn't want to, but he thinks that we gotta come up with a game plan.
I'd like to hear his game plan before we make a motion on whether to approve it or not. I mean, I love music too, and I think it would be great. However, I want to defer to our police chief and get his recommendation prior to approving that.
Let's do that. See if you can work it out with the chief and.
Because one more week isn't gonna,
No,
No, my only concern with that is if we do wait one more week, we're talking about next weekend's the Monday before Labor Day, the Monday before Memorial Day, and if they need to get a band in place, they probably already know who
we can get a detail.
and get a detail for.
is
officers
this
to sign
something
up
you
for.
can
I was
approve,
gonna
or do
say,
we
she
have
could-
to
yeah.
approve it?
No, I can approve it.
Right.
You can approve this.
So
If
you
we
can
are
do something-
satisfied.
Right, if Chad's happy, I'm happy, and you can approve what you need to approve.
Perfect,
Yeah.
that works for me.
Again, they already do it on Thursday nights, same
Right.
location, same thing. If
Right.
you need additional police force or additional signage.
Right.
Yeah.
We
Figure
can
it
come
out.
up with a plan.
Yeah.
Got it,
All right.
Thank you.
no problem. I do have a couple more things that aren't on my town manager's report.
Yeah, I know.
I always do, I know.
Just kidding.
Jane spoke with Judy this morning from Woodstock, and they would like to reschedule our June meeting for July because there's some scheduling conflicts, and that they were still awaiting the financial documents for the child care center. So they are requesting that it be held in Lincoln because our facility can better manage more people. And that we're thinking either 7/11 or 7/25.
When was the June meeting? June what?
June, I think we had it for 14th. Yeah.
14th, right, let me just take that off of there. And as far as the childcare center goes, that falls in their court. They can have
Exactly,
that
100%, and that's
Yeah,
what Jane and I talked about, that,
doesn't have to be
it
on
doesn't
our
affect
agenda.
the town of Lincoln, but that's one of the reasons behind their request.
And 7-11 or 7 what?
25,
Either one.
Either one.
okay,
If one, let me know.
okay, we'll do that. And then the last thing I have is if I could have the board make a motion to authorize me to sign the grant documents for the Department of Justice grant and for the Scenic Byways grant. Sometimes they ask for that when you're doing final kind of federal submittals. So before we get in a pickle where I don't.
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
awesome. That's all I had. We do have a couple brief things.
Non-public.
Yes.
Yes. Which I guess we haven't reached a signed agreement.
No.
Yet.
But we're on the verge of settling one of our legal cases.
We hope.
We hope.
Is this non-public?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, that's
thank you.
the letter from Jace, Attorney
Yeah,
Dennis.
Yeah.
All right, did you have anything?
Nope, what I have is covered.
Did you have anything?
Thank whomever got rid of that trailer down at the, appreciate that.
Yeah.
Like I said, it would have made a great command post. for
It
the
was a
fire
beautiful
chief.
sight pulling in this morning and not seeing that, I will
Okay,
say.
something hysterical is, we towed that off, it's gone, and then Kaylee got a new older camper, it's actually really nice. It was hauling it up and she's like, oh, can I please just park it at 7-Eleven for just one night, just one night? I'm like, yes, and John's like, no, don't do it. I was like, that would be awesome.
But no,
Aren't we fun?
it's nice to
Thank you.
have it
Yes.
done.
If I had access to a
The
camper.
other thing, I was driving down Poland Road the other day, and happened to notice a casket there. And I think it would be a great thing if we moved it out towards the sidewalk with a big sign on it. If you continue speeding, you could be in here.
Yes.
So I think we get, get some mileage out of that. I like it, I like
He
it.
got that casket, and it's a metal, so he's gonna make it into a cooler.
Yeah.
I told him he should put refrigeration in it and drive around in his hearse and sell ice cream to kids. But, yeah.
All right, anything else?
My weird child.
Not for public, no.
Okay, I didn't have anything either. I'll open up for public participation. All
Motion
right,
to go into non-public
Then
for
we're gonna-
two legal issues?
two legal
Correct.
issues.
Yep.
So moved, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Very good.
I
Thank
need
you, everyone.
a quick minute.